Two unbeaten teams take the court tonight in the next round of MOBIL Super League action. Adelaide Contax at home to Sydney Cenovis at the Powerhouse. Well, this Contax team exudes confidence in all thirds of the court, especially since the arrival of Queensland and Australian shooter Vicky Wilson. Sarah Angove has blossomed beside her, while a rejig mid-court of Audine Cobb, Vicky Neal and Monica Dinan has quickly found its feet. Kath Harvey and Sarah Sutter complete a formidable lineup. 24-year-old Vicky Neal had seemed to have made the wing defence position her own until coach Marg Angove wrought the changes that have seen her slip calmly into the centre role. Vicky's versatility has impressed. Well, Katrina Wagg leads the Ku-ring-gai-based club, Sydney Cenovis, into this important clash. 21-year-old Nerida Spindler is her shooting partner. Former Sutherland player Marianne Murphy is a scoop signing for the club, while Australian team member Liz Ellis will be calling the shots in defence. Much will be asked of Katrina Wagg this evening. A four-year veteran of the Australian team at just 25, her experience will be crucial at this standard. Katrina's aerial skills are a joy to watch, and she'll need them against Contax. Well, there's plenty of incentive for the home side here, because if Contax can make it 4 wins from 4 starts, they're just about assured of a semi-final berth, and it's only the second outing for the Sydney team. And Sargent, they'll know they've been in a game here too at the Powerhouse.
Yes, Ku-ring-gai Cenovis, certainly the rookies in this match, and a very tough ask for them to beat Contax, but they're a very talented side, and I think very strong contenders for a semi-final berth, and I think we'll see that in tonight's match. Having said that, it's very hard to go against Contax. They've been in superb form in the matches we've seen them, and I guess, as you say, in front of a home crowd, they're probably the goods tonight, but it'll be a good tussle.
Okay, ready for first quarter action then. Adelaide Contax, Sydney Cenovis. Marianne Murphy for Sydney Cenovis gets us underway. Sydney Cenovis in the yellow, and that is a Gordon tartan, if you're interested in such things.
As if you'd know, Rebellion.
Well, I'll have you know that many years ago I spent some time in Edinburgh. Wilson.
That's one of the matchups we can enjoy tonight. Ellis on Wilson, and the other is Harvey v. Wagg.
Spindler back out to Gilmore and Wagg. Oh, I don't know what the rush was there. Was she really falling out of court? She
was off balance, so I guess she decided to give it some air and try and play it on. But your inference is probably correct.
Dinan, Neal, Angove, Cobb, Wilson. Big contest with Ellis. They've got a couple of strong players at either end of the court. Cenovis in Ellis and Wagg, and they've got Marianne Murphy at the centre.
And she's a valuable pickup for them. She was, of course, the year before last player of the series in the National League. So, as you mentioned, a very handy recruit.
Sutherland were really hurt last year when Marianne Murphy stayed out of competition. And now she's joined up with the Ku-ring-gai club.
And, of course, staying with them for state league. So, not just a matter of on loan for National League.
Throw it in.
Contax ball. Started to take it.
Ku-ring-gai taking some time to settle, just in the finishing off in the attack line, but that's understandable nerves from the rookies.
Harvey, cross court.
Wing attack. Centre.
Cobb.
Contact, ball defense, shuttle pass.
Gilmore out of play. Murphy to Gilmore. Wheatley.
It's advantage obstruction. It's advantage obstruction wing. It's advantage obstruction goal defender.
And it's taken 2.5 minutes to get on the board, but they've also restricted Contax to just the one.
Play advantage obstruction.
Sutter covering a Spindler's move very well on the baseline, holding up Murphy's approach to the circle.
And Katrina Wagg has just jarred that right ankle. She went straight down. And, well, she's managing a grin, so I hope it's not too bad.
Wag on extension for the ball. You can see the lateral extension there on the ligament right off the side of that right foot.
Sarah Sutter has to restart with Katrina Wag still doing up her right boot, right shoe, after a minor ankle injury. And Contax quickly into deep attack against Pearce. Touch on it from Ellis. And Sydney Cenovis ball. Ellis out to Pearce. Oh, and so easily read. It was a bad option with both Cobb and Angove closing in.
Yeah, the ball was simply placed on the wrong side of Tracy Pearce. It needed to be placed on the outside. Ellis with the throw in, and of course she chooses to go the inside running, which falls into the hands of Ording Cobb and is finished by Sutter. Wrong angle.
Keeper.
You know, you think after 3 years you and I had sorted out who was Sutter and who was Angove, but they do look alike. It's just that they're at opposite ends of the court. And they're both Sarah's.
To throw in. Of course.
Sydney Cenovis ball.
Play advantage.
Murphy.
Contact. Replay.
Replay says Chris Burton against Nerida Spindler, and
Vicky Neal really enjoying the role of centre. I think she's revelling in the position. She is formerly a wing defence, but just full flight then, looking great. And turnover to Contax. Watch Vicky Neal through the middle. Wonderful drive down court. And a good pass to finish over the top to Vicky Wilson, who'll make no mistake.
Play. Ball third.
6-3 to Contax. Just under 7 minutes left, first quarter.
Play advantage. Contact.
Wheatley chases the ball into the corner and can now deliver to
pass.
Spindler at the post.
Spindler knew that Wag was placed around the edge of the circle, and she did well to hug good position close to the post, and Wheatley did exceptionally well to find her. There's a lot of traffic in there.
Wheatley, of course, played a lot of her early representative netball in the ACT, even though she was living in Sydney for some of that time. She was a controversial omission from the ACT team at last year's Nationals.
She's a strong player, and she complements Marianne Murphy well there.
Murphy. Well, ambitious. Meant for Wag. Sutter had no trouble picking it off. Neal to Angove now. Cobb and Wilson.
Wilson really working the preliminary move well then, and had Ellis in the chase.
Ball, free pass.
She tried to shake off the close defence of both Ellis and Reagan Gilmore. Gilmore having a very tight game, good strong game on Angove.
Held ball against Wilson.
And trying to shake them, used up the 3 seconds.
Nola Calnan and Chris Burton officiating here. Chris Burton on the far side. And Nola Calnan
that was an early swipe then from Vicky Wilson. Both players running out of room. They couldn't cross the transverse line.
Murphy. Wheatley.
Nice cut from Wheatley. Screen. Wag puts a screen on for Spindler and then puts the cut through herself. Draws a contact.
6-5. And Sydney Cenovis working their way back, but set of passes with Contax. Wilson and Angove. Well played. A shot to please the fans and a mum.
Ording Cobb puts a strong one to Wilson, who finds the aerial pathway to Sarah Angove, and off balance.
Joyce Brown, Australian coach, here in Adelaide to help select the Australian team for the test matches against New Zealand in May, which the ABC will be bringing to you. Wag to nobody.
Well, she was hoping the roll would continue, but the roll really just led into Harvey.
Low-scoring first quarter, 8-7 to Contax. Minute 45 out from the first break. Dynan. Neal.
Advantage contact.
Cobb. Neal hits the deck.
They're trying to make space where there wasn't one, but unsighted by...
Play on.
Vicky Neal given a warning there.
Shuttle pass.
Now, she hit the deck. I don't know if she said or did something when she stood up, but I missed it if she did.
I didn't see her say anything. She did try to force space where there wasn't any, and really took on the back of a player, whether Chris Burton was just acknowledging the push in the back. And I think perhaps indicating that hands were used to get through that space, but she certainly, it wasn't her half to call, but she was the only one who had sight of it, so she made the point of putting the warning out.
Play.
Wheatley, a pass in hope, which didn't work.
Vicky Neal, centre for Contax, a player just attracting the warning from Chris Burton. Harvey on the fly.
Neal now. Cobb, fingertip control.
Done
Wilson.
by the youngster. Well, that deserved finishing. Gilmore tried to get a last-minute grab at it, but that drew the contact against her and a second. But great work from Audine Cobb.
Well, Audine Cobb has continued to impress us through the first 4 rounds of the Super League. Still just 18, having to fill the shoes of Nikki Washington.
And, of course, the reshuffled Contax midcourt to continually surprising with is what they come up with. Vicky Neal, I think, far more impressive in the centre than on the wing, and Audine Cobb has been a delight to watch.
Contax finishing the first quarter so strongly, as they've made a habit of doing through the last few years. You think you're with them, and then they turn on 2 or 3 goals at the end of a quarter to either come back or take a lead, as they've done now. Contax leading Sydney Cenovis at quarter time, 11-7. Second quarter begins. Contax with a 4-goal lead, and the dominance of defence in that first quarter made it difficult for the shooters to get up near 70% end.
Yes, the stats are far below what we're used to enjoying from these shooters. They're really high class. We're used to seeing them up in the 80s, particularly Vicky Wilson. She's sitting on about 85% average for the series, but dropping down to 64 in that first quarter with 9 from 14. And Sarah Angove with 2 from 3, 66%, which is fairly consistent for her. She often shoots around that range. For Sydney Cenovis, goal shooter Nerida Spindler, 5 from 9. She was a little slow to settle, but came through well towards the end of the first quarter, 55% overall. And Katrina Wagg, few opportunities, but making good with 2 from 3.
Advantage breaking.
Murphy to Wagg. Wheatley. Wheatley again, and Spindler. Contax, drive it down again. Wilson with it.
Play advantage offside. Sorry.
Chris Burton apologising for not playing the advantage there. It ended up in the hands of Wilson.
She wasn't to know it would rebound that quickly, and great to see an umpire saying sorry that they've halted play and stopped the advantage.
This advantage can be a sore point with players. They look at the umpire, so why didn't you play it on? And at least if you get some acknowledgement from the umpire, I'm sure it takes away some of the pain. If you're the offended party. Cobb to Dinan and back.
A lovely work from Audine Cobb. She's really making her mark in this game.
And isn't she quick?
Very quick, good hands, and I'm sure Vicky Wilson enjoying the delivery.
Advantage breaking.
Enjoy the speed from Cobb here. Great balance, offloading well, and quick to get good position to support her shooters. Vicky Wilson not letting her down.
She got around Tracy Pearce so quickly then, I'm sure that she didn't even know where her opposite had gone.
Really need to adjust your defence over the ball when you've got a player that can put out that much pace over the first few strides, and sometimes you're better not to commit so tightly over the ball.
Hold time, please.
Dinan winded by the ball. The fake from Wheatley, I think. Gave her a quick jab. Spindler, Murphy.
Good drive from Spindler. Good shot.
Julie Fitzgerald, coach of Sydney Cenovis.
She's coached New South Wales in the night national competition, which used to be a few years ago. And of course, really has done a great deal to bring through a young club and develop it to this point. And I know looking forward to the years to come, because they're a very young side, and I guess they're counting on a few of the Sydney Electricity players to retire in the next couple of years. Can't guarantee that, but I know they'd like it to happen.
I think Keely Devry's found the fountain of youth.
You're in the bad books.
Oh, well taken, Murphy.
Steal.
She had no right to that one. Step against Pearce.
Disappointing result. That was a great steal, and you really need to cherish that sort of opportunity at this level of competition. Any turnover has really got to be cherished.
Wilson guilty of the contact.
Quieter in this game than we've seen in other matches.
Gilmore, I think that can be said of most of the Contax players, and they've been caught a little surprised by the quality and commitment of the Sydney Cenovis 7.
Sydney is steady as side too, so it's perhaps the contrast in styles that's a little off-putting for them. Ku-ring-gai would dearly love to cause a few upsets and just quietly go about their business.
4 minutes gone, second quarter. They're 3 goals apiece in this. It's 4 to Sydney and 3 to Contax.
3 straight for Nerida Spindler, 1 for Katrina Wagg. Make that 4 straight for the young Sydney shooter.
Neal to Wilson. 2-on-1 there, slap down for Wagg. Good play from Sydney. Wheatley.
Great work from the circle defenders. It would be a real feather in Liz Ellis's cap if she can contain Vicky Wilson, because she's run riot in other matches. And I know in speaking with her that she was concerned about matching up against cricket, Patricia McDonald for Brisbane. But she said it really means nothing compared to lining up against a Vicky Wilson or a Jenny Borlase.
Well, Wilson certainly fooled her there. Wilson found herself at about 3 metres after the false charge out and then retreat.
The drive here from Contax, Dynan finding Wilson alone at the post, really put the brakes on, and the dodge was strong.
Harvey. Held ball. And Harvey not often caught like that, nor a Contax generally, so a bit more pressure on them, as you've said a couple of times, Anne. This Sydney team really taking it to them.
Yeah, not having it all their own way. Of course, the reply from Harvey was quite convincing.
Contact.
Wilson.
And the advantage outside the circle. Should I say the contact?
5 minutes out from half-time, 2016. Contax leading Sydney. And go short. Murphy, Wagg. Wheatley, no, Dynan, Wheatley. Spindler. Pressure on all passes.
Very nearly the touch from Dynan, but it carries on to Wheatley, and she finds Spindler well placed, pulls hard and steadies for the finish.
Spindler again, Wagg. Out to Murphy, off Neal's hand, so Sydney ball still.
Contact, wing defence.
Nerida Spindler sitting on 8 straight in this second quarter. Very impressive shooting stats from the young shooter.
Wagg.
3 straight for Wagg. So they'll be feeding the shooters at half-time.
Touch on it from Ellis, and applause from her bench. Neal to Engove. Cobb beats Wilson.
Contact.
Making a liar out of me. I think it was last week I implied the taller shooters don't usually do that grubber manoeuvre.
Well, you're never too old to learn a new trick.
No, Wilson ever agile.
Sutter flies out for the intercept. Here they go, the charge, and the inch-perfect pass from Kath Harvey, and Wilson finishes off a classy move for Contax. And superb play here we'll see from Contax. The intercept from Sutter
Watch the flight of the ball, and it's all made good by Wilson's timing. It's off camera, but it was early, and it gave Harvey a chance to side her early and place her close to the post.
Holding, goal shooter.
And a holding call against Spindler. Turns the ball over. It was nearly over a third. Well, it was a 2/3 pass using the lines to maximum advantage.
That's a warning, wing defender. That's becoming deliberate.
This time, Tracy Pearce. It's a warning from Chris Burton, so one per team.
And that is a penalty advanced to the circle for a warning on deliberate contact against Tracy Pearce. Although the contact outside, it's awarded inside, and the contact's starting to open. Those last two passages were just delightful to watch, and the crowd really warming to their style of netball.
Sydney stuck mid-court. Wheatley. Pearce.
Wag working really hard, taking the captain's role.
2 minutes away from half-time. 23-18 to Contax. Spindler out to Murphy.
Murphy using his speed really well then to get good position at the top. It's a little bit
the
easy
easiest
there,
of rebounds. I'll just lean out of court and take that. Good balance from Spindler and nice skills.
A strong move from Wilson, and the reply from Cobb. That's beautiful netball.
The class of contact showing in the last 3 minutes of this quarter.
And it's the Wilson-Cobb combination here that's superb, and the double play, the drive, front cut from Wilson, ever so strong to the post.
Ball is still with Sydney. Spindler at the goal line.
The last couple of minutes has seen Sydney Cenovis defence just open up, and those spaces appear for contacts, but the driving so strong from Cobb and Wilson.
Against Wag on Harvey this time.
Right open through the midcourt. Very little. Wag catches it up now, but it's very open until she enters the play there to help defend.
Ango. Now Wilson after the feed from Cobb. Well, as they did in the first quarter, in the last couple of minutes, they really hurt you, Contax. With 3 or 4 goals, they shut down your opportunities. It's as if they've got a little clock in their head that says, go now. They can see the clock here, of course. It does stop at a minute out from the breaks. And there's under a minute left.
Lizzie Ellis just getting caught out. They're picking up Wilson very early on, and it's coming from Harvey. So the heads have got to stay up, because Wilson's becoming more and more available as this quarter runs to a close. Interesting, Sarah Ango, 2 attempts, no shots on the board for the second quarter, all Vicky Wilson. This will be her 13th-ish. I blew that one in because I wanted it to go through 13.
Well, quite amazing dominance enjoyed by Contax in the last 3 minutes of this quarter, because Sydney Cenovis did have the difference back to 2 at one stage, but at half-time, it's got out to 8. So Contax in good shape now, after being challenged all the way so far by Sydney Cenovis. It's 27-19 at half-time. (27-19). The score at half-time, and Contax weren't quite ready for the start. The umpires got things going again, and let's have a look at those stats, Anne. And gee, you can see Vicky Wilson doing all the work for Contax.
That's a mighty load, isn't it? 16 from 20. She's really earning those orange quarters they no doubt produce for her at quarter time. 80%, and of course, Ango very quiet. I guess we'd have to say with the feeding role, but no shots on the board for her in the second period. For Sydney Cenovis, Nerida Spindler in mighty form, 9 from 9, 100%. That's a great workload for her. And Katrina Wag, 75% with 3 from 4.
Shooting opportunities there, 22-13 in favour of Contax. Sydney only missed 1 shot, but they still got beaten 16-12 for the quarter. Angove. Obstruction, and Angove will retake.
Go right back on the penalty.
Just resetting Liz Ellis, umpire saying she was off the mark and must be standing beside, not behind, not in front. And Ango still doesn't want to make good with it.
will pierce the contact. So Contact's taking, taking forever to bury this one. And finally, it's that easy. They were too close. That was the problem. 10 the lead, and that wouldn't want to get out to a dozen.
Wing defender causing.
Wheatley. Wag.
Contact.
It's a little bit willing out there, Annie.
A few hospital passes going in there too. Yeah, not prepared to pull out in the attack, either team. And the warnings coming out from the umpires, thick and fast. Good control by Spindler.
Contact.
2 minutes gone, third quarter, and it's been a rocky old start to this stanza.
Penalty.
As
Outside.
another player hits the deck, Marianne Murphy this time. Neil.
Advantage, contact, wing defence.
Wilson. Ellis withdraws her hands at the last moment to make sure of possession. Murphy. Wheatley.
Elimination, wing. Too slow back.
Well, Chris Burton standing for no nonsense out there, but it hasn't really stopped it. Hands on it from Neil. It's deflected into Dynan, and Contacts fly down court.
Oh, well held up by Angove, allowed Wilson that change of direction, that step back on the base, and she really rewards him with some fine shooting.
Angove really is another feeder when she plays like this.
Great hands, and she really can dictate some nice play in attack. And of course, sacrifices her shooting responsibilities to do that. But I guess you're fairly safe when you've got that combination onto a Wilson. You're allowed to run that formula that way. Marianne Murphy on the deck more than she's up in this quarter.
Wag robbed by Harvey, who finds Wilson with a long ball. It's looking a little ominous for Sydney.
Harvey picks it up, the long delivery, and great balance and control by Vicky Wilson. Little step to finish.
34-22. Nearly 7 minutes gone in this quarter.
Footwork call against Wheatley. High bomb up to Harvey. How often have we seen that?
Wilson.
Advantage, contact.
Gilmore went to the deck.
Good jump from Ellis, well over the shot. Angove's first since the first quarter.
Break, we pass.
Break against Sydney. Cobb. Angove.
Advantage, construction.
Wilson now.
Advantage, offside.
Rare miss.
Advantage, obstruction.
Murphy. Oh, you've got to do it quickly when Harvey's anywhere near the ball.
Although she has drawn the contact well out of her natural home. She's right down on the opposing transverse line. It's a big sprint for her to catch up and assist Sutter, who was sort of left covering two strong options.
Wheatley held that ball for, I think, about 2.95 seconds. Finally let it go.
Yeah, some of the deliveries from her have been a touch slow. It puts the shooters under a lot of pressure.
Toss-up between Sutter and Spindler. When Spindler's okay, she is.
Spindler's sitting on 13 straight. In fact, she hasn't missed since halfway through the first quarter. So if I add that up, I'd say 18 straight from her. Mighty effort.
Well, Merida Spindler only shot 69% when they beat Brisbane 52-48. So she's lifted, and this is against probably better company.
Yeah, in that game, though, she's very nervous to start, and I think her first half stats against Brisbane were shockers, and the second half would have been about an 80%. So she really lifted, if you look at it in that context. So she's continued on from there.
Play.
Good
turn from Murphy. A tussle between Harvey and Wag.
Wheatley
is quite
Murphy.
enthralling.
Spindler. Wag. Oh, hard-driven pass to Spindler, who cops a bump in the back from Sutter. Not picked up by the umpire, or left.
And what went on outside the circle then, I'm not sure, but we had both Wheatley and Dinan sprawled on the deck. It's hard to know where to watch. Trying to watch where the ball is, but there's people spilling everywhere.
Spindler. Well, she's keeping them in the game, Sydney. And the lead was 13. It's back to 9. 5 minutes 40 out from the next break. Wilson. It was nearly goaltending from Liz Ellis.
Both players out.
Murphy. Wag.
Strong in the air.
Doesn't like them this close. It's a good fight from Sydney, but they've got to keep it going, because in the next couple of minutes is where Contax have been, or by tradition, asserting themselves late in the quarter.
Oh, well read, Reagan Gilmore. Angove pulling out of the drive and, of course, leaving it all Gilmore's way.
Difficult pick up for Pearce. Wheatley. Murphy. Gilmore finds Wag. Oh, good luck.
It's a disorganised Sydney Cenovis attack then. We had 3 people move onto the ball, all same direction, same timing. You need the timing to be offset. You need the variation in the use of the space, and it just wasn't happening for them then.
Impressive drive. Oh, intercepted by Ellis. It would have looked good if that pass had picked up Angove, but Ellis read it well. Gilmore. Murphy. Wheatley.
Shooter!
Against Spindler.
Use of elbow pushing off to take the space, according to Chris Burton.
High advantage, you're causing win. Contact centre.
Murphy contacting Neil. And now Ellis inside the circle. Gives up the shot or pass for Wilson. No points for guessing. Oh, and a miss. And a rebound.
Stand clear on the shot, defence.
10 the spread, and a break against Sydney. Contax through Neil. Angove.
Well, the deception fooled Wilson, and too much speed on that pass to her. I think she thought it was going across to Audine Cobb. Great intercept by Audine Cobb.
Cobb.
Oh, great work
Wilson.
from her.
Well done, Angove. And good backup from Wilson. She knew where to head once Angove had the ball and was falling out of court. Harvey, Angove. Angove works with Cobb. Murphy, quickest to it. Sydney drive down. Wheatley. They wanted to do this quickly.
Good work from Sarah Sutter. She sat and worked the dodge really well. She kept on the front move and then was available to pick up the drop. Good strong marking.
Yeah, Sydney looked to have the pace and the numbers to work that close to the post, and Sutter undid it all.
That's the difference between defending something for 2 seconds and defending for the full 3 seconds. She really worked hard one-on-one for the full duration. Put the pressure on.
The lead. It was 4 at quarter time, 8 at half time, and now it's 12. A consistent effort from Contax. Sydney very good in patches, but it's hard to maintain it against this kind of opposition.
So far it's been a strong week for Adelaide teams in Adelaide.
Well, I think at the start of the Super League, both Contax and Garville were looking good, and they still are.
Well, I knew where it was going. She looked to the edge of the circle, then slammed it down Vicky Wilson's throat.
Margaret Angove on the left there, with one daughter on court and one on the bench. Spindler, Wag, Murphy.
Well read by Catherine Harvey. Was never going to concede that one, but wasted.
The one was caught in the benches by a Garble player, Natalie Avellino. In the bleachers, I should say. Wag. Wheatley. Spindler.
Obstruction, wing.
They've been quiet for too long, Sydney. Wag and Wheatley, they need another one inside this last minute to give themselves any chance in the final quarter.
Barnage on the offside. Barnage offside and contact.
That's smothered by Sutter, right over the shooting arm. Really came over the shot.
Quick is the call from the bench as the seconds tick away. Timekeeper's up beside Nola Calnan, and a touch on it from Harvey might just be enough. It is, to prevent any further scoring in this third quarter. And at each break, Contax have increased the lead by 4. So at three-quarter time, 40-28 over Sydney Cenovis. Play underway, last quarter. Plenty to do for Sydney, and they've just got to get more of the ball. The stats from the third quarter show you they're really still down on opportunities, 21-12.
Yeah, Contax really reveling in superior opportunities. 12 from 18 for Vicky Wilson, dropping down to 66%. Angove, as we knew, quiet in goals, 1 from 3, 33%. Nerida Spindler for Sydney Cenovis, continuing with great stats in this match, 7 from 9, 77%. And Katrina Wag, pretty consistent, 2 from 3, 66%.
Well, Mark Angove has made some interesting changes here. I'm just still trying to catch up with them all, but Tanya Obst is on at goal attack. Angove has moved out to wing attack. Cobb has moved to centre. Neal to wing defence. Dynan back to goalkeeper. Harvey's still at goal defence. And for Sydney Cenovis, Laverne Daniels is on for Tracy Pearce at wing defence. So just the one change from the Sydney team. Gilmore.
Could you just run through the Contax once again?
Oh, pick it up as we go along. Wheatley, Wag.
Well, Tanya Obst we've seen on wing attack before for Contax, and she has delightful hands, really can place the ball well.
Neal will be very comfortable at wing defence. You can be sure. Tanya Obst we saw at wing attack last week.
Yeah.
And she was very impressive in the short time.
We've also seen Angove on the wing last week. She had a bit of a run there as well. Both good feeders, good hands. Haven't seen Obst in goals though through this competition, and we haven't seen Dynan as keeper yet.
I think they've proved they're a pretty versatile lineup, Contax. All players can handle most positions. Calling for a big effort is Julie Fitzgerald, the Sydney coach. 40-29. Monica Dynan was drawing a fair bit of whistle in that last quarter. Maybe that's got something to do with it.
Perhaps, I mean, you can't seriously say that they're looking at alternative lineups, because you wouldn't string this 7 out of the squad they have. But certainly what they're doing is giving their bench court time, which is an important factor. And yes, they are showing their versatility.
Against the Australian Institute of Sport, it was that Marg Angove also made a lot of changes when she felt the game was well won. Leanne Oates, Tanya Obst came on, as did Jane Woodlands. Obst.
Nice balanced shot from her.
Wag. Wheatley. Spindler.
It's intimidation, shuttle pass.
That's a call that's come out a couple of times from Dynan in tonight's match. Intimidation.
Shuttle pass. Over the face.
And again, you can see over the face the movement of the hand across the pathway of the shooter's eyes to the post.
Cobb to Obst.
It's going to be a difficult call.
Angove to Wilson, that's easier. Little shuffle with a landed foot there, I thought, that she got away with, but be brave to pull her up on it.
Got him. Hey.
Murphy and Neal in a good contest. Wheatley to Wag.
Diamond really riding the back of Spindler.
Hey.
2-on-1 against Wag to shut her out as an option, so Spindler does what you'd expect, pass and drive, and she finishes it well.
Four minutes into the last quarter, and despite the many changes made by Contax, Sydney haven't been able to knock anything off the deficit.
But looking far more disorganised, and they've lost the speed across the transverse line. The speed from Ango and Ops is nowhere near that they had when they had Audine Cobb there and Vicky Neal running it into the shooters.
Spindler, no chance.
They're going to have to be careful that they really change the pace at which they're playing and that they're patient.
Wilson.
Contact wing defender.
Against Daniels.
Got him. Hold line. Hey.
Ellis to Gilmore. Murphy to Daniels. Big commitment from Harvey. She came out and took it out of the hands of Wheatley, but intercepted in turn by Liz Ellis. Wheatley to Spindler. Dinan out of play. Wag. Wheatley. Murphy goes for Wag in the corner. Just a little too tall for Harvey.
That was a late call from Nola Calnan. Wheatley had been appealing for a while then.
Outside.
I think she always saw it, just took a while to get the call out. And I hope Contax don't regret the number of changes they've made. I mean, if Sydney Cenovis are serious, they should look at this reshuffled line and run really hard at it, because you could expect that there are a few chinks in the armour when you change that many players.
This was Sydney earlier in the match were able to make a good run at Contax when they had their best lineup out there. They just couldn't sustain it. Well, now with a changed one, there's got to be a chance to score 4 or 5 on the trot. If they can lift the intensity. Still the difference is 10 and Contax in possession. Angove to Wilson. Angove to Obst on her own on the goal line. Contax cheer squad. Boys perform before the game. Oh, quick. Neal, Ango. Oh, got numbers here. About 4-on-1. Poor old Liz Ellis.
Gilmore had to go deep down court, leaving Liz Ellis with a head spinning. No fun being the last line of defence when there's no one in front of you. The touch then from Harvey, and Cobb very quick to play it on and get through, make the break herself. Delightful down court play from Contax, and of course Lizzie Ellis, the only one at home.
46-34, exactly halfway through the last quarter. Spindler.
Destruction.
5 from 6 for Nera to Spindler, so she hasn't disappointed Sydney Cenovis. She's been on target tonight.
Wheatley.
That was through a brick wall, that pass.
Upshot the arm of Kath Harvey.
Hey.
Good touch again from Harvey, and the support play from Vicky Neal.
Dinan. Big pass to Ango. Had to step into the centre third to take it. Ellis. Wag. Wheatley. Good drive. It stops now.
Oh, lovely play.
And desperation from Dinan.
Second jump.
Well, both sides showing us some good netball, but Sydney not showing us enough to really challenge in this last quarter.
They're winning the quarter 8-6, make that 7, but they need to be working at double that rate if they're going to try and steal the match.
Oh, Neal this time makes a Harvey-style intercept. What's that to?
Well, she had 3-4 on offer, and she chose Lizzie Ellis.
And missed her. Cheer squad with the best chance to
well
take
read, Liz Ellis. That was well anticipated. She's been working really hard all night. One of the best on court.
Pace is really on in this last quarter, and it's drawn a couple of wild passes, one from each team in the last 30 seconds. Sydney ball. Daniels to take it. Oh, a lot of pressure on that. Wilson got a hand to it. She shares a joke with Chris Burton.
Advantage obstruction when you attack.
Wheatley. Spindler. Wheatley. Dynan. Neal. Cobb as Wilson goes down. Angove.
It's advantage obstruction.
Obst cross court to Angove. Just two good contacts. And rightly, Marg Angove has shown faith in this lineup that she's put on court for the last quarter, because they've protected the 12-goal lead.
That's exactly right. She's shown an awful lot of faith to reshuffle a line that much against a very competitive Sydney Cenovis. But they're rewarding her with some lovely passages of play.
And this is a change in the way that Marg Angove plays the game, if you like, because Contax for the last couple of years have played most of their games unchanged from their starting
Indeed,
7.
most of the entries in last year's Super League did the same thing. Very few changes to lines, maybe the odd change when they're in a good position to give someone a run, but most sort of played their cards pretty straight. And I'd agree, I was thinking it earlier, there's a lot of movement in the Contax line, perhaps giving them more and more confidence. The one they haven't yet showed us is if they were without Wilson, would they have the courage to go on with it? That would be an interesting test, because she's given a lot of confidence to this team.
Wag. Rebound strongly. Touch on the ball from Dynan. Doesn't put her off. Cobb to Obst. Into the hands of Gilmore, though. Wheatley.
Gordon. Play.
Not too much disgrace for Sydney Cenovis in being beaten by the team that's top of the Super League at the moment. I think this Ku-ring-gai-based club will be thereabouts when the semis are on. With 2 minutes 40 to go and 9 the difference, Contax are going to win. So Sydney are going to be 1-1. Contax 4 from 4. So they've virtually booked themselves an appointment for the powerhouse come semi-finals time. Wilson. Break against Sydney. Cobb. Neal. Obst. Wilson, and well picked out and well backed up by Obst.
Cobb on to Vicky Neal. Tanya Obst holds it up, then she sights Wilson strong on the baseline and finishes off with a flick pass over the top. She'll finish part of her own good work.
Wilson close to the post, gathering in a rebound. One and a half to go. Daniels. Wheatley. Murphy. Wag. Spindler. Contax defenders not bothering to put up the arms in defence for that shot as we hit a minute out from full time.
Good challenge then from Reagan Gilmore, steady marking. She'll be learning a lot from this outing in the top league. Margengo looks a satisfied coach on the bench. Well, might she be? Oh, I don't know whether Contax started a little flat, Anne, or whether they really were tested by this Sydney lineup, but they didn't stay flat for long. I think both. I think they did look flat, but I think Sydney really made the most of their opportunities and contained them well. And they've stayed in the running. I mean, the difference isn't that great that you'd think you're out of the league. I think they know there's growth in a young side.
As at one stage in the second quarter, Sydney got it back to a difference of 2. But Contax showed their class.
I think the reality is for Sydney Cenovis, they're the rookies. They're a young side that has their heart set on being here for a long while in Super League.
Well, the lead at three-quarter time was 12, and the changed lineup for Contax has protected that lead right to the final whistle. And that's a 4th win for Contax. Too good today over Sydney Cenovis, 53-41.